not exist in this dojo, does it? No, Sensei! Pain does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, Sensei! Defeat does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, Sensei!
Okay, let's get into it. Meal prep. We're just going to jump right in. First things first, make sure you guys have enough time to do this. It's going to take a couple hours, especially if it's your first time. You want to make sure that you carve out enough time that you can actually do it and you're not getting interrupted by something else halfway through the process. Number two, double check and make sure that you have all your supplies. Make sure that you have all your food, your containers are clean, that you have iodized salt, you have some tongs, your meat thermometer, everything is squared away. All right. Next, you want to make sure your working space is clean and free of debris. So I like to work in the sink. It makes it really easy and convenient because any of the seasoning or anything like that, it's all confined in one little area. You can just spray it down and disinfect it when you're all done. You want to get your trash kind of up next to you so you're not walking around your kitchen with chicken containers with liquid in them or anything like that, and it's right next to you, so you can cut your stuff open and you have your trash right next to you by your sink. All right, first thing you want to do when it comes to the actual food is if you have anything frozen, now is the time to start thawing it. I don't imagine you guys are going to have a lot of frozen food, but some people might have some ground beef frozen in their freezer, so it's going to take you like an hour to unfreeze it, to thaw it out. So if you are in that situation, you want to get a bowl of water, cold water, put your frozen food in it, and every 20 minutes change out that water. Dump it out, put new cold water in. Then we want to start cooking our rice. So you want to match up the amount of water with the amount of cups of rice. So if you're going to cook 3 cups of rice, you want to have 3 cups of water. If you're going to have 4 cups of rice, you want to have 4 cups of water. But before we cook our rice, we want to rinse it. So get your 4 cups of rice in your container and then rinse it out in the sink. Get cold water running and you want to kind of fill it up. You want to stir it with a fork or a spoon or something like that. Stir your rice around. You're going to notice that it looks milky and kind of like a thick kind of consistency to it. So you want to rinse that out, and after 2 or 3 times you'll notice that it starts to become more clear. That should be good after you do 2 or 3 times, and then you want to add the amount of water that is the same, equates to the same amount of cups of rice that you put in, and then get your rice cooker going. Next, we want to preheat the oven to 375 degrees, and then we want to get out our potatoes and our zucchini squash. Rinse them down, scrub them. And with the zucchini, you're going to want to cut those. So you're going to want to cut the ends off, and then you're going to want to cut them in half and then cut each one of those halves in half. And then you're going to want to salt it and put some type of seasoning on it if you want. Now, after you cut it into 4 pieces, I like to dice it, and so I will cut it up into smaller pieces. It's not that hard, it just takes another minute, but it's completely up to you whether or not you want to do that. You're going to want to probably do 3 or 4 zucchini squash, depending on the size of the squash. Sometimes I get huge ones. No, I only need 2, but usually it's about 3 or 4. Then you want to get your chicken out and put it in the sink with your trash nearby. Cut it open. I like to use latex gloves if I have them, and I will just kind of rub my seasoning in. If you don't have latex gloves, you can use tongs, but you want to be careful with chicken. It's not something that you want to touch anything, if at all possible. So keep it in the container while you're seasoning it, and use your tongs, kind of season everything, flip it, season it again, and leave it there while the oven is preheating. After you get done with that and the oven is preheated, you want to make three cooking trays, put like three cooking trays with three different things. So we'll have our potatoes going on one, we can have our zucchini squash going on one, and we can have our chicken going on one. Now you can put your potatoes and zucchini squash on one and then your chicken on one. That's perfectly fine. You can do it that way as well. And then we want to start 3 timers on our phones. So the timers are going to be 14 minutes for zucchini squash, and we're going to start with 25 minutes with our chicken. I say start with because you may want to adjust that, and there's a good chance that you're going to want to keep it cooking even after the timer goes off. So we got 14 minutes for the zucchini squash, 25 minutes for the chicken, and for the potatoes, it's going to be anywhere from like 50 minutes to an hour. And we're going to just let that cook. And as it gets done, we can pull them out and put it on the counter and let it sit there and wait for the other stuff to get done. So you might want to put it, if you have a cooking sheet out, you might want to put it on an oven mitt or a thick towel that sits on the counter. But as that is cooking, because again, you're going to be cooking up to an hour when it comes to those potatoes, you're going to get out your ground beef or your ground turkey or a combination thereof. You can cook ground turkey and ground beef together if you want. I like to do that. So you could do, we're going to start out with 3 pounds in total. So you can do like 3 pounds of ground turkey, or you could do 2 pounds of ground turkey, 1 pound of ground beef, and whatever you like. But we are going to add iodized salt to that. Liberally just put it on, and don't overdo it because it's going to make your food not very good. So we're going to start off light with like the salt so that you don't want to overdo it. And when it comes to cooking on the stove, this is the one area where you really want to be mindful of what is happening, right? Because you already have the timers when it comes to the oven. Not going to mess that up. You can pull it out and check it and put it right back in. But the oven, you don't want to let it sit in the pan, because if it sits there for too long, it's going to start burning into the pan. Especially in like the last 5 minutes of cooking, you really want to keep that meat moving. So you're using your meat masher. I have like a little fish spatula that is sharp on at the end, and I can scrape the bottom of the pan and make sure that anything that's charring is coming up. But you really want to keep the meat moving in the last 5 minutes. So we're cooking our ground beef and our ground turkey on the stovetop. As timers go off, we'll pull our stuff up out of the oven. We'll sit it on the counter. And once everything is done, we have all our food out in front of us. Now, back to the chicken. Make sure it's cooked to 165 degrees. The way you're going to check that is you're going to pull out your meat thermometer, wash it before and after you use it, just so you make sure that you have a clean meat thermometer, and you want to insert it into the thicker end of the chicken and put it in 2-3 inches in and let it sit there, and make sure your chicken is cooked to 165 degrees. This is very important. And then you can set it to the side. Once you have all of your food cooked, if you have your chicken shredder, now's the time to shred up your chicken. And I like to use one of those pans, and then I'll just dump the shredded chicken onto the pan. When it comes to the potatoes, you can slice it down the middle of the potato and then do cross slices and just fillet it open and put those into a container. If you have the smaller potatoes, like the petite potatoes, you want to put 4 to 7 ounces of those sweet potatoes in the containers. With the rice, you also want to put 4 to 7 ounces of rice into those containers. So you get your carbs down first in your containers, then you're going to move to your proteins. I like chicken with my rice, so then I'll put on chicken. How much protein? 5 ounces is a good starting number. So whether you're doing ground turkey, ground beef, chicken, 5 ounces across the board. So I like to do 5 ounces of chicken on top of my rice. 5 ounces of ground turkey on top of my potatoes. And then with our zucchini squash, I like to put that with my ground beef and ground turkey. The reason I don't put it on my chicken is I like to do little cups of pineapple, and I'll put the cups of pineapple on top of my chicken and eat it that way after I microwave it. We have all of our food in our food prep containers, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator. But if we have more meals than we're going to eat in the next 4 days, we're going to put the extra ones in the freezer. So you have to figure out how many you're going to eat in the next 4 days, because the food will stay good probably for 4 days in the refrigerator. So if you're going to eat 2 of these meals a day, that means you can have 8 meals in the refrigerator. The rest need to go in the freezer. Now, when you get down to the last day or two of food, that is when you start rotating your food from your freezer into your refrigerator, so that the frozen food has a couple of days to unthaw, and then it will be just like new. So last thing to know is that you have to clean up after yourself. Make sure that you clean the counters off. Make sure that you clean the sink. Make sure all the dishes are put away and rinsed. Take out the garbage, because your parents do not want to clean up after you. They're already doing you a favor by getting you the food, and you need to show them that you are responsible and that you can feed yourself and you can take care of yourself and that you can clean up after yourself. So we're going to Lysol down, or whatever type of disinfectant you have. We're going to clean up our area, make it look better than it was before you started. Take out the trash, and that should be it. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments down below, and I'll try to get to them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and you can like it, subscribe it, make sure you're staying up to date with any of the videos that are coming out, and hope you enjoyed it. Good luck with your meal prep. I know you can do it. All right. See you guys.
Fear does not exist in this dojo. Does it? No, that's it. Pain does not exist in this dojo.